Hello, and welcome to the Bibliophile Hour. I'm your host, Erica the Bibliophile. So, my first book for my podcast is going to be The Black Effect. I would like to add that I did review this book on YouTube. Also, I do have a YouTube. You can follow me or subscribe to my channel at Erica the Bibliophile on YouTube. But I did do a review once, but now I'm bringing it to the podcast. So I might say different things and add different things in there. But this was a book that I really enjoyed. And like I said, it's The Black Effect by Charae Lewis. She's an amazing writer. I have read plenty of her books. She is a urban romance novelist. I like to call her that. I don't know if she calls herself that. But yeah, if you're more into quote unquote urban, since that's the category that they put us in majority of the time, you can go find her and get her books. So yes. So this book starts off with our main character, Amy. She is in the bathroom waiting on the results of a pregnancy test that turns out to be negative, and she's devastated. She's really hurt. In the 3 years she's been married with her husband, she hasn't gotten pregnant. Yet Jade and Ray, who, when you're first reading this, you would assume that they're her friends. So it's just like, my friends are getting pregnant. Why can't I get pregnant? And they're standing at the door, waiting for the results with her. So when she shakes her head no, they try to give her encouraging words, telling her it's going to happen eventually. And she says, that's easier for y'all to say. Y'all already have babies by him. And it's like, skirt, scratch record. What does that mean? Like, are you sharing a man with your friends? And, this is just something y'all do together. And I must admit, this is away from the book. This is Erica talking. I didn't know it was a polygamy book at first. Because I didn't read the back. Because, like I said, I'm just a big fan of Charae Lewis. So when she puts out a book, I'm running to go read it. So, I'm just opening it and going. But back to the book. So then we go 3 years earlier than that moment, and Amy is working at MAC doing makeup is her gift. She has a license in cosmetology, and while she's at work, a wealthy woman, and she's wealthy by the way she describes her clothes, how her hair looks. She just smells of money. So this lady approaches her and asks her to do her makeup for an event that she's having that same night. She tells her, I'll pay you. I'll send a car to pick you up. Money is no object. I just need you there to do my makeup because, Amy looks good and it's obvious that she knows what she's doing. So she agrees, and the woman introduces herself as Raynell Black, but says she goes by Ray, which I've never understood that, trope that people do. It's like, if you're meeting somebody for the first time, like, hey, my name is such and such, but everybody calls me insert nickname here. It's like, what if you never see this person again? What if you guys, you don't turn out to be friendly? Everybody doesn't need to know your nickname. You could just say, hey, my name is da-da-da, and keep it moving. So when Amy gets to her house, she's stunned by the size and the grandiose that is Ray's house. Like, when Ray opens the door and is leading her through, she realizes that she even has her own salon. Like, they're not going to her bedroom to do her makeup. They're going into her salon. And while she's working on Ray's face, Ray's husband comes in. And he has no shame in openly staring at Amy. And Amy is unsettled by this because she's just like, why are you looking at me this way as I'm doing your wife's makeup? But Ray laughs and says, uh-oh, I know that look. And Amy is confused. She's like, what look? Why are both of y'all not saying anything about the way this man is looking at me? And the husband's name is Nadir. So then there's another woman who comes in. Her name is Jade, and she introduces herself as the other lady of the house. So, by now, I get what's going on. So I'm like, oh, okay. They're in a throuple, three-way relationship. Cool, cool, cool. But Amy still doesn't get that. She doesn't know what's going on. So she's like, how are you the other lady of the house? And Ray and Jade explain to her that Nadir is their husband. They are a polygamous couple where Jade and Ray are sister wives. So, they're not romantically involved. Nadir's just both of their husbands. And, she's not okay with that, but she's like, not my business. I'm just here to do makeup. I'ma leave. As she's leaving, Nadir is in a conversation with somebody, but it's just like he is staring her down, and she notices this. And as she leaves, she has the fleeting thought to herself that, not fleeing thought that he has two wives and he still isn't satisfied. So now we have Nadir's point of view, and he is telling us how he loves both of his wives. Ray is his first wife. She has a nurturing spirit, and he loves that about her. Jade is his second wife, and they share kindred spirits, which, as we get into it, you'll find out why that's funny later. And they connect on a deeper level, but all in all, they make it work. And he's had this plan from the very beginning to always have three wives. That's how his empire is gonna work, is him having three wives. His dad has two wives, and so he's grown up in the polygamy lifestyle and sees nothing wrong with it. But instead of just having two, his vision has always been to have three. And it just has to work out that way. And he just knows that Amy is going to be his third and final wife. Which, again, pulling over, how do you know that just by looking at her? It's like, this has to go to the way she looks. Because it's like, you barely said 5 words to her. You don't know nothing about her. You don't even know her last name. But you are just determined that Amy is the third. And he asks Ray if she approves of Amy as the third, and she does. And it's just like, okay, now Ray, let's go over to you. What makes you think this is gonna work with this girl? Just because she did y'all makeup and she didn't run out screaming that y'all were terrible people with having this lifestyle. And so he goes to her job asking her to have lunch with him. And she's shocked to see him. And she tells him that she's not interested, in being one of his whores. And Nadir gets angry. He's like, don't disrespect my wife this way. He makes her apologize for saying that. And, she agrees to go to lunch with him when he asks. So now, Amy is being taken to lunch in this fancy restaurant called the 50th One. And he gets them a private room. He's just really kind of showing off. And like I said before, Amy learns that Nadir's father was polygamous and he has two wives. Nadir's mother being the second wife. So Amy again offends him by asking him, why is he trying to add her to his stable of wives? And, once again, he tells her, you're going to stop disrespecting my wives, by calling them everything but what they are. They're my queens. I take care of them. I love them. So, once again, if you can see how against this she is why do you continue to pursue her? Because after that second statement, I'm like, you know what? I'm good, love, enjoy. Because it's so obvious. And it's like, you are going out of your way to make this work. Um, and after he checks her, she tries to get up and storm off, but he tells her, don't try to run out because I've corrected your behavior, which is exactly what she was doing. So it's just like, not only is she rude, but she's also childish. You can't correct her without her wanting to run out and have her temper tantrum. It's like, girl, you're wrong. You didn't have to say that about his women. You can just say, no, thank you, and move along. And so Amy is intrigued, but she has beliefs of monogamy, so she's not going to stray from those beliefs, and she's not going to get involved with Nadir. Amy has a twin brother, Amir, who, with them being twins, they're real close to each other, and she tells him everything. So they're 25, they still stay at home, although they want to move out, but they won't move out because their parents are very, very religious and believe they shouldn't move out until they're married. So Amy gets a call from Ray, who wants to book her to do not only her makeup, but Jay's makeup as well for Jay's upcoming birthday party, which, after she does their makeup, she's invited to stay. She first thought about saying no, but then she agrees to do it. So at Jade's birthday party, it's another big event. Everything is black and white, and everything about, with Nadir's last name being black is always incorporated in some type of way in this situation. So at the party, he's watching Amy, and he can just feel it in his heart, which is still, again, is nothing but sexual attraction at this point. Because Amy, so far, has not proven herself worthy of being a third wife, that he just continues to say he feels so deeply in his gut that she is. But he doesn't know how to approach her, which is another thing. It's just like, okay, you see these red flags, flag on the plate. You see these flags, but you just ignore them because he says he can tell that she's immature, needing to be broken out of her shell. And it's like, being immature and needing to be broken out of your shell is not the same thing, and they mean two totally different things. She's just flat out immature. She has not expressed any openness to this relationship. So, while they're at the party, Amy asks Ray, how can she be in a polygamous relationship? And Ray's response is, why? Why do you want to know? Because she's thinking like Amy is opening up to this idea. And she tells her, why, when you can experience this for yourself. And Amy says she's nothing like them. And it's like, when you say a statement like that, it's like, what does that mean? What do you mean you're nothing like me? Oh, you think that I'm just choosing to share my husband with somebody instead of leaving, so, like, you're better than me in some way. And she tries to clean it up, but Ray tells her, I'm proud of my family. I'm not ashamed of our dynamic, and no one can make me feel ashamed of my family either. She says she also felt the same way in the beginning, and which, I don't know if this is just a common thing for polygamous couples, because another book that I read started off the same way. It's like, if you feel that way, why do y'all get into these relationships? Because I don't know, I'm looking at it too black and white, because it's just like, either you want to do this or you don't. Having to be coerced, or somebody basically begging you to try this out and telling you over and over the benefits, and you just don't see it for yourself, I wouldn't go through with it. So it's like, yeah, it's been working so far for Ray, Jade, and Nadir. But it's just like, if you felt the same way in the beginning, why did you agree to it? You just could have told your husband, like, no, I'm not doing this with you. And Ray and Jade tell Amy, you'll be a good addition to the family. You'll finally close like our little triangle, circle, whatever we got going on. And Amy just can't wrap her mind around it. She's like, no, I don't share. I don't want to share. And I don't have any plans on sharing. So Nadir pulls her away to talk. And he, adds on to the conversation, telling her that he wants her to complete his foundation and become his third wife. She flat out refuses, saying what I just said. She doesn't want to share a man. Her parents and others' opinion of her and her life way too heavily, like on her, and they manipulate her decision on any way she moves her life because she doesn't want to be talked about, which, baby girl, you're always going to be talked about. I don't know what to tell you there, so you're just going to have to get over that. And, she's a people pleaser. She wants to do what is quote unquote right in other people's eyes. And Nadir gives her a cheek on the forehead and walks away. And it's like, finally, you're realizing that this beautiful woman is nothing but a beautiful woman. Nadir goes to see his dad for advice. And it's just like, I found my third. I believe I found her. And I'm going to make it work. And, but then I don't know if it's going to work because like just running the whole story down to his dad. And his dad tells him, come on, son. You never back down from a challenge. Don't start now. Like, I ain't raised my son to be no quitter. If you going to get her, go get her. So Nadir sends her black roses. Like I said, with his last name being Black, everything is black in some type of way. And her mom, Fia, sees these roses and somehow turns this into a sin and tells her that she's going to go to hell. And I have never been, like, my parents aren't like that. Hallelujah. Because we would be fighting in that house. I'm like, what do you mean? How does me receiving a gift at any point mean that I'm going to hell? And Nadir texts her, telling her, come see me. And because she just got into that argument with her mom and she's feeling like, oh, I'll show you, she agrees to go. And when she goes to his house, she agrees to marry him and be his, but tells him that he has to tell her parents. And it's just like, Nadir, why would you agree to that? You have to see how childish that is. Like, you have to tell my parents about us. Like, girl, what are we, 16 and 17? And of course, the conversation doesn't go well because Fia calls Nadir a pimp and tells Amy that she's nothing but his prostitute. And they leave, and Amy is just so happy to be away from her parents. And that's the main reason, why she agrees to marry Nadir. And Nadir and all of his ladies are having dinner. Then there's banging on the door. So when he goes to open the door, there's police there telling him that Fia is accusing him of having Amy there against her will. And Amy has to come and tell them, that's not true. I want to be here on my own. And my mom is just upset about my relationship. And Nadir's just sitting there looking at her because it's just like, I don't do the drama. And I'm not one for drama. So you're going to have to figure this out. 1 week later is the wedding. So I think we're like 2 to 3 weeks in and they're already getting married. And while she's getting ready, this is the time that Ray and Jade feel they want to warn Amy about Nadir. It's like, these are the things you need to look out for. One, he's a busy man, so he won't be home a lot. Also, he is controlling and likes things a certain way. So now she's a little concerned. She's like, you guys couldn't tell me this before I agreed to come into this relationship. And then you got to think back to how both of them told her that she would be so good in their relationship, being the third in the relationship, and all she has to do is try it out and, like, come into our family. And Nadir's parents, Ali, who is his dad, Lena, and Helen, this is their first time meeting Amy. So, which, like I said, this is just going on way too fast. Because how is your first time meeting his parents at y'all's wedding? And Lena is Nadir's mom, and Helen is Ali's first wife. But Nadir looks at all of them as his parents. Nadir's mom, she isn't very welcoming to Amy. Ali is warm, Helen is nice to her, but Lena is very standoffish. So Nadir pulls her to the side and, it's like, Mom, what is the problem? His mom tells him, there's something about her I just don't like. She doesn't sit well with me. She isn't good enough for you. And he tells his mom, you don't live my life through my eyes. You don't live my life, period. Like, you're not going to tell me who is and who isn't going to be a part of my life. And I can appreciate that. Because it's like, you don't have to disrespect your parents. You don't have to be awful. But you can set boundaries. Like, you're not going to cross this line and try to dictate what I do. So immediately, Nadir's making changes. He tells Amy she can no longer work at the mall. With the type of man that he is, everybody just can't be having access to his wife. So she's going to have to find something else to do. And this is when she asks, does Ray and Jade work? And I'm like, see, once again, y'all just proven that this marriage isn't right. Because it's like, these are the questions you should have been asking already, but you're choosing to ask them now on the day of your wedding. It's like, why don't you know if your other sister wives have jobs or if they're just stay-at-home wives? But Ray has a preschool and Jade has a warehouse where she makes custom bags. And he tells her, I'll help you do whatever you want. Just tell me what you want to do. And she's like shy at first, bashful. But she tells him that she wants to run a YouTube channel, have a beauty channel. And it's like, when she's talking to him, she's telling him, like, don't make fun of me. But it's like, that's nothing to be made fun of. YouTube is what am I trying to say? Like a reliable business. Especially makeup on YouTube, you can make bank off that. So it's just like, okay, yeah, you might not make as much money as he do, but you'll be making a substantial amount. And so he tells her, all right, I'll get you hooked up with camera people, buy you all the equipment that you need. I'll get you a studio where you can record. It's nothing. All you gotta do is just tell me what you want. And then they get on a private plane to start their honeymoon / mini vacation. They're going to Tahiti, Bali, Santorini. Wait, is that right? Yeah, and Venus. And that is the end of our flashback, so to say. And now we're in the present time. So Amy is still unhappy. Her beliefs are still rooted in her parents' opinion and other people's opinion. She does not like being part of this relationship and sharing her husband. So, she tries to distance herself away from them as a group, which doesn't really work because that's the way Nadir likes it. He wants them to move as one. And she feels like her inability to get pregnant is her, disobeying her parents, which is her disobeying God. And she wants to talk to her brother, but Amir is now in the armed forces. He done moved on. He trying to make something of his life as well. So this sent her into a deep depression because now she feels all alone. And Amy tells Ray her feelings of unhappiness and how she wants out. And she wants to have a baby really, really bad. Ray and Jade, they both have a son individually for Nadir. And Amy is the only one who can't get pregnant. And this, I don't get why nobody pointed that out to Amy when she said it. Because it's like, if polygamy is so, quote unquote, wrong in your eyes, why were they able to have children and you weren't? It's like, this was just a stress thing. You were thinking too much about it. So, of course, you weren't going to get pregnant. And Ray asked Amy if she's talked to Nadir about this. But she hasn't. She says she hasn't because she doesn't want to hurt his feelings. And it's like, no, you didn't, because you're scared. And you're creating even more problems in your relationship because you won't open up your mouth. You're just walking around with an attitude. So when Nadir gets home, to learn from the other two ladies that Amy once again took a pregnancy test and, it came out negative and she's not feeling good. So he tries to comfort her, but she brushes him off, which makes him angry because it's like, I just came in off business. I got other not other families. What am I trying to say? Like, I got other responsibilities, but I'm pushing all that to the side to come and comfort you and make sure you're okay. Because this doesn't just affect you. This affects me as well. You're my wife. You think I don't want to have a baby with you? Like, this ain't just hurting you. And he heads right back out. Because she's like, then that's when she's like, where are you going? It's like, you just didn't want me here a minute ago. You pushed me off. Y'all tried to give you a hug, give you a kiss, and you greet me with an attitude. So how are you shocked when I want to leave? I don't want to be around this. And he goes back to meet with Money and Dom, who is like a partner. They're both partners of his. And Money is from another series that she has, which is good. That's a really good series too. I gotta find the name of it. It'll probably be one of my books I read later on down the line. But Money is a woman who at one point she ran like a all woman's business. She wouldn't get in, like, the family business was no getting involved with men. But anyway, Money got a husband, and I think she got a baby now. So it's just like, things changed along the way. But anyway, Nadir helps his father run a software company, but he also sells guns on the side. So, they're the background of the city. They really control the city while everyone thinks it's like the government officials and whatnot. They are. So Nadir forces Amy to attend family dinners at his father's house every Sunday, where Lena continues to disrespect her. She praises Ray and Jade for having careers while calling Amy's YouTube channel a hobby that doesn't make any money, which is not true. So Amy finally snaps and tells Lena to stop making assumptions about her and to mind her business. Nadir pulls her into the kitchen to check her about how she spoke to his mother. And this is where I have a problem because, yeah, I'm going to respect you. I'm going to respect your parents. But they also have to respect me. So it's just like, I'm not going to let her say any old thing to me just because that's your mom. Like, I'm not doing it. I'm not just going in there calling your mom bitches and hoes, but also she's going to respect me and I'm going to respect her. We have to have some level ground here. So it's like, don't just pull me into the kitchen. Say something to your mama too. You ain't got to disrespect her. You ain't got to talk to her crazy. But you can say something to her too. Because in this situation, Amy is not wrong. I come to your parents' house every weekend to sit at their table to hear her talk to me crazy. And nobody stops her. Like, y'all tell her to chill out, or, you may just say something like calling her name, like, okay, Lena, that's enough, or Mom, that's enough. But in the grand scheme of things, she continues to do this. So what's the next move? So I'm the only one that's wrong because I decided to say something back. It's like, no, I'm not a kid. I'm not just going to sit here and let her say whatever. And so Helen, who is Ali's first wife, she pulls Amy back into the kitchen to talk to her. And Helen apologizes for Lena's behavior, but she notices that something else is going on with Amy. And Amy tells her that she's unhappy. And Helen encourages her to go talk to her parents. Because it's like, obviously, this is a sore spot for you. And you want some closure from your parents. So go talk to them. But also, I have a problem with Amy because it's like, this is your second person, besides the person you should really be talking to, who is your husband, that you are telling that you are unhappy. You're married to that man. He should have been the only one you were talking to about your unhappiness. Well, you can talk to your sister wives. I said that wrong. But why are you telling this lady? It's like, she literally has no loyalty to you. She could go back and tell him, I talked to her in the kitchen and she said she was unhappy. What's going on? And then he would have to find a way to combat that, because it's just like, she really catching him off guard, because the only thing he knows is that you're upset about not being able to have a baby. He doesn't know that you actually hate your life. And so Amy goes to her parents' house and her mother tells her she shouldn't be there, because when she first knocks on the door, her mom opens the door and, is like looking around as if she expects somebody to be watching the house and watching her. And she tells Amy she shouldn't be there. So her dad is at work and Fia is busy studying her Bible. So when Amy comes in, she pleads for her to stop and talk. She's like, I kind of haven't seen you in 3 years. Can you put the book down and talk to me? And when her mom puts the Bible down and looks at her, she says, let me guess, things aren't as great as you thought they would be, huh? And it's like, although that is a true statement, how evil do you have to be to smile and like revel in your child's unhappiness just because you feel like they aren't doing what you told them to do under the guise of it being God's will? But that's another story or another topic for another day, because I'm telling you, I can go on and on about the church and the hypocrisies that go on in there. Anyway, so, and Amy sees that. Like, she sees her, like, smiling, waiting for her to admit that she made a terrible mistake. And, oh, Mom, you were so right. I should have listened to you. But Amy doesn't give her the satisfaction. She's just like, no. Actually, I just wanted to talk to my parents, who I haven't seen or heard from in 3 years, and, just catch up. Like, can we just have a conversation? But Fia refuses to let it go. She tells Amy she's unhappy because she deviated from God's plan for her marrying a man with 8 wives. And it's like, obviously, he only has 2 other wives. And she's like, and you know that. So while you're trying to be funny, you're actually being rude. And funny enough, Amy brings up so many passages in the Bible that speaks on polygamy. And Fia gets upset and puts her out, saying she doesn't have to listen to this, and tells Amy not to come back. And so as she's in her car, Amy has put any thoughts of reconciliation out of her mind, because it's just like, which you should have known that anyway. 25 years of living in the house with your parents, they wouldn't even let you move out on your own because they are so stuck on the Bible of where you only leave after you get married. So you're basically your parents' property until you become your partner's property. So it's like, yeah, what did you think was going to happen? But I do want to touch on that though, because it is so interesting also in today's society how many people try to make it seem like polygamy is just so wrong when it's like, these are this is the way of the Bible. Every man that you talk about that was so great or had some greatness to him, he had multiple wives. He didn't just have one. But people don't want to talk about that, but we're gonna leave that alone. So they're at a party to introduce the mayor candidate, and Nadir notices the change in Amy. Now he can see that something is going on with her, and he tries to get her to talk, but she just says everything is fine, which is so annoying because it's like, fam, if I can see that something is wrong with you, why are you just gonna say nothing? So it just, to me, it goes back to her being childish. And it's just like, here you go. You won't tell him that you're upset. And then when you can't hide the fact that you are upset and he actually was wrong, you're still just going to say nothing. So it's like you're going to hold it in until it bubbles out and you say the wrong thing. But, they're talking about spending more time together, and they about to slip away to get some alone time. Dom steps in to introduce them to Sherman Wilson, who is running for mayor, who is their candidate. And Sherman shakes Nadir's hand, but when he doesn't, I believe he shakes Amy's hand, but then he goes to touch her hair, and Nadir slaps his hand away and says, "Don't touch my wife. Don't even try it." And then he turns to Amy and tells her to stop being so friendly. So Amy looking at him like he crazy, and she walks away. So while she's off pouting, she sparks up a conversation with a guy named Canton, who just takes her mind off her own personal drama for a minute. And they're just having a nice conversation. Nadir texts her telling her to come back, but she just puts her phone in her purse. So after, I want to say like a half an hour of conversation, she decides to go back to the party. So Jade finds her like a little while later, but by that time, Amy is sitting by herself. She's not sitting with Canton, which is good for her because I'm pretty sure if Nadir knew she was talking to another man after just blowing up at her about some guy touching her, not even her inviting him to touch her hair, not even her flirting back with the man. That man just touched her out of nowhere and you got mad at her. So to even hear that she was having another conversation, whoa, somebody call 911. Tell them I just got shot down in the bullet in my heart. I don't even think that's the words. So once again, when Jade finds Amy, this is the third person that Amy is telling that she's unhappy. But this is where she messed up though, because everybody else ain't feeling sorry for Amy. Jade, she is looking at her like she crazy, and she is livid. She tells Amy she'll keep her secret because, quote, "unlike you, I would never want to see him hurt," end quote. And for some reason, Amy has had enough now, and she takes an Uber home. She doesn't want to be, bothered by anybody at this point. Nadir notices when Amy greets everyone the next morning, Jade doesn't say anything. So it's just like, what's wrong with y'all? Why y'all fighting? Y'all always speak to each other. Ray announces that she is pregnant again, which puts Nadir in a weird predicament. Because, of course, he wants to celebrate the fact that they are having another baby. But then it's just like, this is a painful reminder that Amy but she hasn't been able to conceive at this point. So he gets a call from Dom, and their candidate Sherman is being being blackmailed by someone who has pictures and other scandalous evidence of him cheating. So Nadir agrees to look into it, and Dom tells him that Sherman is waiting for him in his office. And, he tells him, how did you know I was going to agree to do this? I could have been busy. But Nadir asks Sherman, who has he messed over? But the sad part is, Sherman can't give him an answer. He says there's too many people that he's messed over. He doesn't know who could have done this or who has evidence on him. And whoever the person is, they're asking for $2 million. And it's like, $2 million? Who do you think you kidnapped? Chelsea Clinton? Like, ain't nobody giving you $2 million just for some photos and whatever you may have. Amy is talking to Amir before his deployment, and she's telling him all the problems going on in her world. And of course, your sibling, if you have this type of relationship, they just gonna keep it real with you. Amir tells her she's confused because one minute everything is cool, the next she's unhappy. And he tells her, if you're so unhappy, leave, because you don't have real ties to this man. And Amy has to tell him that isn't true. Before they got married, they went to an attorney before they had their wedding ceremony, they went to an attorney and signed a marriage contract. So although they are not technically legally married, they have a marriage contract binding them to each other. And Amir asks her, so what's the problem? Have you fallen out of love? And she says no. So he's like, I don't get, so what is it? You won't talk to him and tell him what's going on, but you swear that you've just been unhappy this whole time. So if you're so unhappy, leave him. And he tells her, quote, you don't know what you want. You need therapy because you're not satisfied with anything. If you're not content with yourself, you won't be content with anybody else. End quote. And it's like, that is so true. Amy is not satisfied in any aspect of her life. There is a problem with everything going on. You have a terrible relationship with your parents. It made you get with this guy just so you could get away from them. And then you hate this lifestyle, but just because you don't want to prove your parents to be right, you are sticking with it. So Amy is vlogging and she runs into the guy from the party again at a coffee shop that she finds out is his. So from there they go get something to eat and they're talking, laughing, having conversation when Nadir's mom, Lena, runs up on her and is saying that she caught her. She's like, I finally caught you and I got the evidence to prove that you're cheating on my son and I can't wait to tell him because you're going to be out here. And it's just like, what is going on? Because even though the first time you met her was at the wedding and then you said she wasn't good for your son. But at no point in the book does it say that Amy did anything to her. It's like you just don't like her for the sake of not liking her. And that makes no sense. And so it's the family dinner time again, whatever. Not Nadir. Lena is on Nadir as soon as he steps through the door. So everybody is there except for Amy, and she can't wait to tell him, what she saw, that the quote unquote evidence that she has on Amy. And Amy had texted Nadir telling him that she would meet them there. And Nadir doesn't like that. Because, like I said in the beginning, they're a family unit. So they have to walk in like a family, looking like a family. They move as one around here. Ain't no, I'll see y'all when I see y'all. So when Lena tells him the information, Nadir doesn't believe it. But he is upset that she was alone speaking with another man. And it's like, excuse me? So I can't talk to nobody? I just gotta keep it moving and I can only speak when you around? That makes no sense. And I didn't like that. Because it's like, Nadir, you literally have 3 wives. You go from bedroom to bedroom to bedroom. Of course, y'all a family unit, but. And I'm not even like with this dude. I'm just talking to him. And that's a problem. So, yeah, that was like, Nadir, come on now. That don't make no sense. And so when he sees Amy, he asks her about it, like, what's going on? And she tells him that she was using the man's coffee shop in an upcoming vlog and they just stopped to get something to eat. So Nadir is looking at her and he just straight up asks, do you want out? But she says no. So it's just like, you're so unhappy, but you still not saying you're unhappy. You're just explaining away what could have been a possible cheating situation. And he's asking, he's communicating. He's like, tell me what's up so I can fix it. I don't want this to become a problem later down the line. And I didn't try. But instead of saying anything, she just asked him if he loves her. And, he's like, of course, you're my peace. And that leads them to having sex at because they went away to a penthouse that he has in the city. Because they they live further out. And, things are on the up and up now. But the next day, Jade tells Nadir that Amy wants to leave the family. She's not who you think she is. And Amy no longer feels that way. She's like, I told you that, but I don't feel that way. And Jade won't let her talk. She's basically telling him, she doesn't love you like you love her. And this upsets Amy because, they done had sex. So she feel better now. She's like, you ain't gonna tell me I don't love my man because I do love my man. And Jade calls Amy useless, telling her, you can't even get pregnant. So Nadir interjects at that point because it's like, wait a minute. Now you stepping over the line because it's like that. You saying that to her, but that also hurts me. And Amy throws a glass at Jade's face. I was like, I don't mean to laugh, but it's just like, do you know how upset you gotta be to just chuck a glass at somebody's face? And it basically bypasses her, but it just nicks right above her eye. So she got a little cut. And Nadir is upset. So he chokes Amy up, pinning her to the wall with his forearm against her throat, then throws her to the ground. And in no way am I excusing this, but it's just things got intense. So Amy packed the bag and she left. Nadir knows he messed up, but he was caught in the moment. And like I said, I'm not excusing that because that could be potential abuser behavior. But I can see from his point of view, he just felt like he was protecting his wife. So it's just what should he do? And he texts Amy to come back, but she's not responding. And he calls, they have private doctors. Of course, when you're rich like that, you have private doctors come to your home. And they stitch Jade's little cut right on up. And Nadir tries to go after Amy, but he finds Ray laid out in the bed because she's been feeling ill lately. So Ray tells him that Amy left because, Ray caught Amy at the top of the stairs, when she was packing her bag and she ran out and left. So Nadir is about to go out and look for her, but he gets a text. No, he gets a call from Dom. And then he sends Amy another text saying, I fucked up. Come home, please. And, she doesn't respond. And the threats to Sherman are becoming more frequent. That's what Dom called him about. So it's we really need to find out who this person is so we can nip this in the bud and it doesn't get in our way. He gets a call from Jade saying that Ray is being rushed to the hospital for a possible miscarriage. So Amy calls Canton for help and he takes her to a hotel. Amy left her truck and her phone in the parking lot. That's why she called Canton. So, there's a tracker on her phone and her truck. So if she leaves them at a certain place, Nadir isn't going to be able to find her. And that's exactly what she wants. So after she pays for her room, Canton comes up so they can talk and, just talk. Nothing's happening between them two. Like, they feel something, but they're not really acting on it. And Amy is, still caught up in her marriage. But when Canton leaves, she's left alone with her thoughts. And she takes off her wedding rings, saying they no longer represent love and protection as they once did. So Ray did have a miscarriage, and the whole family is at the hospital, being by her side. And she asks Nadir where Amy is, but he doesn't know. So, of course, Lena has to say something. And she's like, it's just like her to not be here at the time she needs to be. And it's like, how do you know? You don't know nothing about this girl. All you do is criticize. And Ali done had enough of it. He told her to leave. Just get out. Because you killing the vibe. You bringing the vibe down with all your negative energy. And we don't need that right now. We already suffering a loss. My daughter-in-law is laid up in the hospital. Bye. Just get out. And he pulls Nadir to the side. Because he also wants to know where Amy is. It's just like, my wife ain't had no business saying it the way she said it, but she does have a point. Where's your other wife? And so Nadir has to tell him the truth. And Ali is disappointed. He says, we are men. We must have self-control at all times. And Nadir asks everyone to leave so he can explain to Ray the real reason Amy isn't there. So he asks if she knew Amy wanted to leave. And Ray tells him, I did, but I felt like it was just a phase. That's why I didn't say anything. So she tells him, you have to get her back. She belongs in this family. And he just tells her, I'll try. I'm not making any promises, but I'll try. So Canton and Amy meet up for breakfast. And once again, here comes Lena, telling her, you're no good for my son. You're pathetic. Ray is in the hospital suffering from a miscarriage, and you're parading around town with your secret lover. And she also lets Amy know once again that she's telling Nadir and that she never belonged in their family anyway. So Amy tells her straight up, fuck you and your family. And Lena spits in her face, and Amy loses it. She pushes Lena down, starts kicking her and hitting her until Canton pulls her off. Lena threatens to get her arrested, and I'd have been like, please call him. Please call him, and I'll tell them that you were stalking me, because this is not the first, but the second time you have ran up on me claiming that you have some evidence, and you just called me pathetic. And I feel like you was threatening me, so I had to defend myself. Ray is back home resting. Ali calls Nadir over, and Lena is surrounded by, the family. She put on a show, very much giving a Candace from Real House of Potomac cry, while everybody's looking on. And she tells him, that Amy attacked her after she asked her a simple question. So Nadir asks her for the whole story because he know his mama and he know how she exaggerates. So she tells him, I saw her with the same guy I saw her with the last time, and I think there's something more going on. And Nadir tracks Amy's phone to her truck, but it's in the parking lot. So he can't get no further information because both of her things are right there. He has no way of getting in touch with her. So he gets a call from his tech guy, and, that's business. He's finding out who's blackmailing Sherman, and it's Amy's dad, Nate. Nadir's thinking that they were possible lovers, and he goes over to Amy's house. Come to find out that it's Fia that's sleeping with Sherman. And all the time, well, not all the time, but a few of the times she was claiming to go to church, she was actually meeting up with this man. And not Nate. See, their names are too close. I was always getting mixed up. Nadir reminds Nate that he could go to jail for extortion, but Nate claims that he doesn't care. He says that Sherman ruined his marriage and he wasn't going to let him get away with it, so he was going to get some money out of it. So Nadir feels bad for him, so he tells Nate to drop his price down to $250, because he's not getting $2 million, but I get you $250K, and he has to promise to not release anything. And Nate does, and he asks about Amy. So Nadir tells him, if you want to, you can get in touch with her. Go ahead. Nadir puts in the word to find Amy, because he's mad about her quote unquote attacking his mama and cheating, really. So Amy is planning to basically move on with her life. She's looking for a new place. She's looking for a new car and a phone. She has money saved up from her YouTube, so she's not just completely out on her ass. And Nadir always encouraged her to spend his money and save hers. Very little Kim. Why spend mine when I could spend yours? Amy tells her dad that she's leaving Nadir. And but Nate had got in contact with her through Amir, and he comes to her hotel. So that's when she tells her dad that she's leaving Nadir, and he asks if Nadir had ever been physical with her. And she's thrown off by the question and asks why. And Nate just says he believes that he has traits of an abuser and blames Nadir for being the reason why they haven't spoke in 3 years. And Papa Nate, you a grown-ass man. Ain't no way anybody should stop you from seeing your child. Y'all just had a terrible relationship, and you used that marriage as a way to not talk to her anymore. And so Amy asks him to elaborate. It's like, what do you mean he's the reason why we haven't spoken? So Nate tells her that Nadir paid them to stay away. For some reason, this hurts Amy, which I don't understand, because your sole purpose in marrying him was to get away from them. So if he paid them to stay away from you, how does this hurt you in any way? But she kind of clocks it a little bit. She says he throws you some cash and you just give up your relationship with your daughter. So of course he tries to deny it and shift blame. But Amy tells him to get out and that she doesn't want to talk about it. But Nate doesn't. He's like, I want to fix this because I'm also leaving your mother. She's having an affair on me and I'm going to divorce her. And for some reason, this saddens Amy as well, which I don't get, because it's like, what are you sad about? She starts crying, Nate starts crying, so they just, emotions taking them over, caught in the sorrow. And at that point, Ken texts her asking to meet up at a lounge, and she accepts and tells him, after dinner with her dad, they can go out. So while they're at the lounge, they're getting caught up in the music and the vibes, just feeling on each other. But Canton has somewhat of a clear head, though, because he asks her, does she know what she's doing? Because if they cross the line, there is no going back. So Amy nods, thinking, they're about to kiss, but something catches Canton's eye. And when Amy turns around, she sees Nadir, so she a little caught up. And the last line of the book is from Nadir, and he says, I ain't never met a motherfucker bolder than you. And the story is to be continued. And so I hope you guys enjoyed my review. Send me some notes. Let me know what you think. Tell me if you liked it. Once again, the book is called The Black Effect by Charae Lewis, if you want to pick it up and read it for yourself. And next week, I'll be getting into part 2. So come back for another listen. Peace.